A warm welcome to everyone. I'm Priya, Assistant Professor, Department of Costume Design and Fashion. I am going to continue the past video. That in the last video we have seen about the weaving process. So in this video we are going to see about the patterns and what are all the types of weaving patterns are available. So first, weaving, the types of weaving patterns we are going to see on this video. First wave is plain weave structure, the simplest weave structure where each weft threads alternates over and under each warp threads. So common fabrics include muslin, calico and taffeta. It is the simplest weave formation. Next, 12 weave structure characterized by diagonal lines on the fabric surface created by the weft threads crossing over two or more warp threads at regular intervals. So it will be passed in a regular interval for one or two or more warp threads to create this design. So examples are denim and herringbone are typical twill fabrics. Next, satin weave structure, a weave where the interlacing of warp and wefts are spaced out, giving the fabric a smooth and lustrous surface. Example, satin and sateen fabrics. So in this the weft threads will be more. So the filling yarn will be seems to be more, so that the fabric surface is smooth and it having a lustrous, which means shiny surface. To seems to be a shiny surface. It is called as satin weave. It has two types of fabrics, that is satin and sateen fabrics. Next, we are going to see about jacquard weave structure, a complex weave that allows for intricate patterns to be woven directly into the fabrics. Jacquard looms can lift individual warp threads, allowed for detailed designing. Examples, brocade and damask fabric. So it is a complex pattern. For each and every different designs we can create through this jacquard weave. For each and every difficult designs, we can lift an individual warp threads to make different patterns over the fabric structure. So it seems to be like this. Wherever needed, we can integrate and we can include the patterns over the designs, and we can move the yarns to make the useful and creative designs. It is jacquard weave. Next, we are going to see about knitting. So these are all we have last seen as in a different way of making fabrics. So knitting is somewhat different from weaving. So it is a different method of preparing a fabric. Knitting is a method of fabric production where yarn is interlooped using needles to create a textile. Unlike weaving, which involves interlacing two sets of yarn, that is warp and weft, knitting uses a single yarn to form interconnected loop, resulting in a fabric that is typically more stretchy and elastic. Knitting is widely used for making garments like sweaters, socks, hats and scarves, as well as varieties of other textile products. Basic concepts of knitting. Knitting needles. Definition: the knitting needles are long, slender tools used to manipulate the yarn and create loops. They can be straight, circular or double pointed depending on the type of knitting. Types of needles. Straight needle used for flat knitting where the fabric is worked back and forth in rows. Circular needles used for knitting in a round or a flat. They have two pointed ends connected by a flexible cord. Double pointed needles used for knitting small circumference in a round like socks or sleeves. Next, yarn. Definition: yarn is a continuous strand of fibers used in knitting. The type, thickness and material of the yarn can vary widely, affecting the final texture, elasticity and warmth of the knitted fabrics. Types: natural fiber such as wool and cotton, silk and linen. Synthetic fibers such as acrylic, nylon and polyester. Blends: combination of natural and synthetic fibers to achieve a desired properties. Stitches. Definition. A stitch is a basic unit of knitting formed by interlocking loops of yarns. Types. Knit stitches. The most basic stitch where the yarn is pulled through the front of a previous loop. The first structure. Next, purl knit. The reverse of the knit stitch where the yarn is pulled through the back of the previous loop. Next, combination. The combination knit and purl stitch in various patterns, different textures and designs can be created such as ribbing, cables and lace. Knitting techniques. Flat knitting, the process. In flat knitting, the fabric is worked in rows with the knitter turning the work at the end of each row to start the next. This method produces a flat piece of fabric which can be sewn through together to create garments or other items. Application. Flat knitting is commonly used for items like scarves, blankets and garment pieces that will be assembled later. Next, circular knitting process. The circular knitting involves the knitting in a continuous loop, creating a seamless tubes of fabrics. This method uses circular needles or a double pointed needles and the fabric is not turned at the end of a row. Application. Circular knitting is ideal for making seamless items like socks, hats and sweaters. Machine knitting. In machine knitting, automated or semi-automated knitting machines are used to produce fabric quickly and effectively. These machines can create complex patterns and textures that would be time consuming to knit by hand. Application. Machine knitting is widely used in the textile industry to produce a vast range of knitted fabrics and garments from simple t-shirts to intricate lace. Thank you.